All right. Hey, everyone. How's it going? Uh,
Well, thank you. Good.
awesome. Welcome. This is our first episode of this roundtable. My name is Al Sefati. I am the founder and president of Clarity Digital Agency. With me, I have guests that know and I've known for quite some time. Some are or have been clients, some are colleagues, friends, mentors. So everybody, welcome. We should really introduce yourself. So Delilah, I'd like to start with you, if you don't mind introducing yourself. Take as much time you need for that, and then we go down the line.
All right, yeah. Happy to be here. I was really excited when Alex extended the invitation to just kind of have like a round table and talk about all things marketing, which is a huge passion of mine. I'm with Black Box LG. I am a senior demand generation executive, and our agency specializes in B2B content marketing and demand gen for enterprise businesses across all verticals. So yeah, excited to be here, excited and looking forward to the conversation.
Very cool. Thank you.
What's up?
I think John, you're according to my view, you're next. So if you don't mind.
All right. Hey, I'm John Lawson. I am the CEO of Colder Ice Media. I have been in the e-commerce sector for 25 years, and I am I don't know. I'm a business coach slash consultant slash AI expert. Yeah, that's what I'll say for this week. It might change next week.
Well, you're definitely my AI consultant. I've been asking you a couple of things, so definitely that for sure. Thank you for that, Mr. Kelly, Mark Kelly. We have three Marks today, so maybe you can go first.
Sure, I'll be the first Mark. I'm Mark Kelly. I own Inbound Revenue. We're primarily a white label Google Ads, Facebook ads, and local service ads agency that we also do work with direct clients. And I've been at this for a while. Inbound Revenue for 10 years, Google Ads for 23. So love the agency world, love the marketing world.
And he's good at what he does. I have used him in the past, but we're also friends. So
we can't work together.
We can't work together anymore. All right, Mr. Gleason, Mark Gleason, if your turn.
Hey, we're friends too, but I'm working
definitely
with you
friends
right now, so
yeah, I know you joined this.
I'm not a close enough friend that you can't work with me. But anyway, yes, I'm Mark Gleason. I have recently started working with Clarity Digital because I have worked with Al in the past. He and I worked together at a company called Meridian Link, which is bank software, and we had a really nice run of success at a company that generally did marketing terribly. So we stood out and got a lot of things done. And then for the last 4 years, I've been working for a nonprofit in Los Angeles as both the product manager and the marketing manager. And I recently hired Clarity Digital to do our digital marketing there. And again, it was a raging success. And I say that not just to flatter Al, but within the first couple months of turning on our digital marketing, we added more clients in 2 months than we had added in the previous 2 years just by turning on digital marketing. So that company then got merged and bought, and I am now working with Al to help build up his business because I really believe not in just in what Al's doing, but in the power of the process and digital marketing because I know it works from multiple experiences.
Awesome, thank you. He's also my hook connection to get free Disneyland tickets. So
yeah, my wife works at Disneyland, and I was there yesterday.
Yeah,
which you may not. You need to be sure you get what you wish for there, Al, because it can be a long day. I had my 3 grandkids at Disneyland yesterday, and I'm exhausted. So
I bet.
Long days.
Yeah. Cool. Mr. Mark Kapczynski, your turn, please.
Hey guys. Thanks for having me on, Al, as always. So I run a consulting firm called Control Media, focus on business strategy, go to market, and then execution across sales, marketing, and business development for companies. So typically a little bit later stage. So we work with a lot of private equity portfolio companies and like mid-market publicly traded companies, and have kind of a variety of disciplines that we focus in around. Like we happen to be really good with like subscription revenue and retail media, e-commerce kind of stuff. So.
Do you have any kind words to say about Al? No?
No, I've known you too long. I've used those all up.
By the way, Mark is one of our. Yeah, go ahead.
You were shopping hard there for a compliment, weren't you?
Just we flattered him too much early.
you guys all buttered him all up.
You started it, and now I expect it.
He's like a golden retriever today. He's like, love me, love me. Okay, Al, I love you, man.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Steve. You sir.
Sure. I was just going to say that Disneyland are long days, but they're the best long days, at least for me. And we're going again in this summer. So.
Okay, good. Well, for me, it's okay because I get in for free. So so the long days, I always rationalize that. Well, at least I didn't pay for this.
Well, I'm in Florida, so we have Disney World, and it's very hot here in the summer.
So that's a long day at Disneyland for sure.
Yes.
I'm in Orlando, and I haven't been to Disney World yet.
It's a lot. It's great, but you're gonna need many more days.
Just don't go in August.
All right.
So I'm a digital marketing, e-commerce, 25 years for brands and retailers mostly, and currently director of digital marketing and e-commerce for Wilco, which is a 26 farm and ranch stores up and down the West Coast. And last year, I really took a year to consult because one of the reasons was I really wanted to focus on upskilling and AI and just take time to see what that's about with more than just one, being able to work and help more than just one company at a time. So that's, I've now joined one of my clients, but that's really what last year was focused for me, was upskilling AI related to marketing mostly. And I've founded 3 nonprofits. One of the nonprofits I founded is relevant now today because I founded it in 2004, and ran it for 5 years, but it was called the Internet Strategy Forum. It was for brand side or client side digital leadership. And so we had a really good 5-year run until the Great Recession. And it was and so the reason it's relevant is I've launched a pre-launched brand new client side brand digital leadership network and professional development organization. It's pre-launch, but it's a digital strategy exchange.com is where that's at. If anybody's interested. But so this the idea of networking and collaboration is right up my alley.
Yeah. Well, that's, obviously I've enjoyed working with you, Steve. Thanks for that, by the way. That's one of the reasons I wanted to invite you, because that's the topic that we want to discuss today: digital, just leadership, marketing leadership in general, and also AI. So everybody here, you're a leader of some sort, either agency leader or on the client side or consultants. And so if you don't mind, let's just get started with that topic where, as of today, early April 2025, where are we with marketing leadership and AI? And whoever wants to start integration, like, are marketing leaders embracing AI? Are they pushing it back, or doing it too much or too little? I guess that's where I would like to start. Who wants to go first? Should I pick one?
I can go first.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was going to nominate Steve too, because he last mentioned AI.
Yeah.
First in, first out.
Yes.
Last in, first out. I guess a lot of experimentation, right? A lot of trying things out, learning tools. The first thing I did, and this was, 2 years ago now. Anyway, is I got my whole team on Grammarly, because even though Grammarly wasn't talking about AI, they were doing AI, right, for grammar suggestions and corrections, etc., and doing a good job of it. And so I got my whole team on it. We did the style guide, so we all said the same things and used the same words for the same concepts, and so we have brand consistency. And then they introduced Grammarly Go, which was their first sort of generative feature in Grammarly. And so my whole team got to start using Grammarly Go. And so I just did, by making it accessible and not just like a free-for-all, it's like, hey, let's start with Grammarly Go. This is before ChatGPT, or ChatGPT was super early. And so that's kind of how I tried to do it at the time, was just introduce it, play with it, try some things out, let's use it for some campaigns. And then we start doing that with ChatGPT later. So it's about that kind of trial experimentation, but give some guardrails. And I think I've seen and talked to other people who've taken similar approaches. So that's, I guess, my quick high level answer to what I've seen.
Yeah. I'll have follow-up questions, but I want to see who wants to add to that. Maybe Mr. Mark Gleason, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I have. I have probably a slightly different experience on this, just from the rest of the team here, because I've been not 100% dedicated to digital marketing, but building software products. And my background is actually, I was a developer in the early 90s, and I built things with expert systems, including software that could, we did a project for Northrop. It's not secret anymore, but at the time we had to build a system that could learn how to differentiate a tank from a lake from a fighter jet at 10,000 feet. So it was an early sort of baptism by fire. What I've seen now, just working with Al over the past few weeks on some of the things we're doing is there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that seems to be accessible with AI. And this is something that I see not just from the agency side, but from the client side, where there's this sort of belief that this digital marketing job can be automated or mostly automated with AI, or you can figure out the secret sauce. And that, for me, is what I think is the risk there, is that I think that what I've seen so far is for clients and agencies who are really promoting AI marketing, that that they might be missing things just in terms of that. So it seems like for us as marketing leaders that we need to make sure that we help our clients and others understand that there is still a secret sauce here that does require humans. And even some of the work that Al turned me on to some of his AI analytical tools for sites as I was looking at some prospective clients. And we got a lot of good information back, but there was a lot of really bad information back as well. So, that's the risk overall with AI. But I do think that in marketing, people think, well, hey, if you're using AI for planning out a heart surgery, well, that's going to be really bad if you have bad data. If you're planning on a marketing campaign and your data is bad, I don't think they feel the risk as much. And it's more, again, just maybe this is just reflective of the people and clients that I've been working with, not just with Al, but elsewhere, that you can do it all with AI, and we're soon not going to need any humans to do this work. And that's completely wrong. So for me, it's really just sort of making sure that we properly advise people on how to use the tool, because that's what it is. It's a tool. It's not a brain in a box. It's a tool that we all can use.
That was awesome. And that's a conversation I had with Mark Kapczynski last week on the podcast. Mark, I want to go to you first, and Delilah, then I go to you, because this kind of is very relevant to Mark had to say last week as well.
Yeah. So, AI is just a tool, and I totally agree with that. So I think, the point of view is, how do you master the tools to more effectively get your work done and be creative for your clients and ultimately deliver the results that they need. I think, part of the big challenge with AI is each tool today pretty much operates independently, and so it each has independent learning. So it's almost like it is like representative of your physical team of people, where there's knowledge in all these individual brains, but it isn't integrated in a way yet that it can all be tied together. So like, technology used for maybe buying ads is independent of the landing pages, is independent of internal data and historical transaction information and loyalty and other things. So I think until we really get to a state where all these different data sets are linked together and there's really a single AI model that can run on top of that, you're not going to be able to truly replace the marketing customer acquisition functions. You have to really still have people that know each one, and then use humans to figure out how to connect all the dots together and steer the ship. So still long way from taking over the world.
Cool.
I agree.
All right, Delilah, your turn.
Yeah, I totally agree with a lot of the things that were said, that, it's really still the experimental stage, in my opinion, and that marketers should not use AI necessarily as a crutch, but like as a tool, obviously. But there is so much of the heavy lifting that needs to be done by us humans, and the personalization that needs to be done by us humans. I mean, we're responsible for training our AI tools, like training our chat and prompting it. And you have to prompt it correctly and accurately and reprompt it and redirect it sometimes. So I think we're a ways before, it taking over in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, I just don't think that's the case. I still feel like the human touch is so important, and we need to guide it. And it's great because it gives us time back in a lot of ways, so we can focus on some more important tasks. But yeah, that's my take.
Well, let me go to Mark next. Thank you, Delilah. And then I want to go to John, because John's perspective, being an AI consultant, maybe a little bit different or not. So Mark Kelly, Mark Kelly, what do you think? Oh, I hear myself.
Sure. I'll weigh in there. I have mixed feelings on AI. I'll adopt it as it's practical. I'd say for us as an agency, what it's done is replace some things I do on Fiverr so far. Obviously, it's got massive potential, but I look at it from my perspective. Like, it writes fairly well. I don't think it writes accurately, necessarily, not when it comes to technical things. It's the old situation where if you chat GPT something and you read it, you say, that's fantastic, it gave me this great information. But if you chat GPT something that intimately familiar with from a technical perspective, you read it and like, yeah, it's not really how it works. That's not really what it does. So it's got a lot of improvement to do in that regard. But it writes better than I do, generally speaking, even though it overuses certain phrases. We have been able to do things like generate logos and thumbnails and things with it. Though I tried to use it for YouTube the other day and it put someone else's picture on my YouTube thumbnail. So I'm like, that's not particularly useful. And I could go back and forth probably and reprompt it, or I could just tell my guy to make a thumbnail. So I opted for that. I'll tell you what really colors my perspective on AI is working with Google Ads, because Google has tried to move us towards automation for years. I have yet to see many of their automation decisions improve the performance of a well-trained, of a smart, experienced human when it comes to Google Ads. And Google Ads is probably one of the most data-driven, closest to like an LLM of most of the marketing tools out there. And it's similar to Facebook, where Facebook is trying to push everything towards its automated audiences and things. Not always successfully. So I would say I'm very interested. I'm attuned to the topic, but I'm not changing my Facebook handle to AI agency quite yet.
Well, thank you. And I do agree with the Google Ads part. I've noticed that unless you're willing to burn a lot of money for the system to learn, the machine learning features that Google Ads has. You have to use them with a grain of salt. But I want to move to John, because I think John is a little bit more progressive about AI, given the talk you had at Camp Miva a few weeks ago. John, what do you think this, with the state of AI marketing and marketing leadership, where we should be going?
Yeah, we're all in trouble. Just simple and plain. Here's the thing. I find it almost. I don't know how to put this, so I'll give you an analogy. I find this conversation, not this specific conversation, but most conversations that I'm into, it's almost like I'm from the future, and I'm coming back to the 1800s to explain what air travel is going to be like to people that ride horses. It's impossible to really grasp where we are, what's going on, and what's about to happen. But if you could at least back the clock up just 2.5 years to the time when you didn't have this word AI really in the vernacular being spit around, and nobody had touched ChatGPT 3. And then you look at where we are in just this short amount of time and extrapolate that to where we're going to be in 5 years. You can't even imagine where we're headed. And I think if we focus in too much on what AI can't do right now, instead of focusing in on what it can do, then we're missing the point. And I'll kind of just leave that and let that marinate for a minute.
Yeah, I'm kind of in between everybody's opinion today. I obviously agree that, by the way, thanks, John. I agree that the human touch is needed, but it's probably needed until machines start buying from machines, and that's happening soon. Well, what do I mean by that is like the other day, it was like a week ago, we were running out of coffee, and I don't think about it. We were running out of coffee at home, and Alexa was like, "Do you want me to order you new coffee?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Like it was on a, it's like, this is the last we ordered, and that's pretty. Alexa is not a very smart AI, right? So Alexa ordered for me, right? So there was very little human touch there. I didn't go on anybody's website. At least it was a recurring order. I think this might be a lot closer than we think, where the human touch is going to be less and less needed. But I don't know when that's going to happen. But for out of 2025, I agree with everybody else. I think we do need to. We 100%. Not only we need a human touch, we need the human direction, everything. And Mark Gleason and I, when we were doing this deep analysis using Gemini and this couple of the tools that we use, we did find a lot of nonsense in the report. So he's definitely right. But I'm beginning to think is that when it comes to the time where you just tell your phone, it's like, "Hey Siri, buy me a new shirt." It already knows enough about you that what kind of shirt you like, what brand you like, what size you are, and it will just do everything for you. And how much human touch is needed then? I don't know.
That's got some pretty big ramifications for marketing. If you're talking about when you, I agree that that's probably on the horizon. I'm not sure I agree with John on the time frame for the horizon, but there is a horizon out there, and it will get better. But it will. But in the meantime, what you just described there, Al, is a marketing nightmare, right? Because then you're going to have to tune, or it's a marketing opportunity where we say our AI can dial into, is dialed into what Siri looks for when you tell it to order a shirt for you, right? So that's a sort of a slightly odd example, because shirts, does it know that would it like that shirt that you're wearing today? I don't know, but seriously, I think that that definitely as purchasing and buying decisions become more AI driven, we as marketers are absolutely going to have to respond and have strategies. And I'm curious, I'm going to ask this question back to John. What do we do about that, John?
I don't know. Ask AI.
Hoping you'd have an answer.
Yeah, I know. That's what that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, and everybody wants to have an answer. So we try to make up an answer. And then, well, by the time it gets here, it doesn't even look like we thought it looked. So I really don't know. But I do believe there's going to be more communication in the advertising space between agents, more so, you know, the traffic is going to really increase from human traffic to agent traffic. And what's that going to do?
I agree we can't predict, but we have had enough waves of technology and the next big thing to know the typical pattern. And I do think AI is going to be different than the typical pattern. But, you know, I've got one foot in technology and one foot in consumer behavior and how to use marketing. And I've also got a third foot, if I had one, in corporate reality, and where there's inertia and power plays and, you know, budget constraints. And so, you know, it wasn't that long ago that what was going to be the biggest thing in the world, you know, blockchain and Web3. It's like, okay, no one talks about that anymore. Well, for a while, like we were going to do everything through chatbots. This is pre-AI chatbot. But remember, there was that wave about, I think, 8 years ago. Everything was going to be, we're just going to shop by chatbot. So what happens is this curve, you know, you all heard the hype curve. And so you know, how long has e-commerce been around and how good is Amazon at it? But we're still at what the latest data I just pulled up was 16 to 20% online. Other than that, people are going into stores because they like that social engagement. They like touching things. So yes, more things will be bought by agents, like your sugar and your flour and your milk and maybe your shirt. But, you know, look, it takes a lot to massively change consumer behavior. So.
Yeah, one thing I was actually speaking at Camp Mevo was that we may have to switch our perspective on KPIs. You know, like for example, in SEO, we look at keyword rankings at one of our main KPIs and then organic traffic. But as I see more people using ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexities, and those traffic come as a source of referral, and a lot of times they don't even link to you. So you should still be able to, if they do, what I'm trying to say, if they do rank, if they still the answer the questions, if they answer the questions that the user asks, if it comes from you, you should still figure out a way to measure that. And I think what's going to be more important is that branding, you know, having a strong brand so user knows, hey, this is the type of stuff that Clarity Digital writes, you know, the tone of voice, you know, or this is the Forbes tone of voice, kind of influencing, like in other words, marketers may have to take a step back and instead of looking at the last click optimization in terms of SEO and Google ads, it's more of a, you know, way before early on in a funnel, how we can influence customers to come toward ours as opposed to them, and then have the engineers optimize it for LLMs. So in other words, I think AI is going to make us, it's going to make marketers again, you know, because a lot of times, you know, marketers, we were too worried about the technical aspect of things. Like Mark Kelly and I can just, Mark Kelly can attest that how frustrating it was back in the days when we had to create SCAG, single, what was it, Mark? What was it stand for?
Single keyword ad groups.
Single keyword ad groups, and we had hundreds, maybe thousands of keywords. That was like, that took us forever. And it's something that we had to do in order to optimize Google ads. And now we don't have to do that. And maybe down the road, we have to do that kind of work even less and less. And then we can think more about messaging, creativeness, the type of things that, like Delilah said, the human connection. And also, we also have to take into effect that AI runs on hardware and uses a lot of electricity, and energy and resources. So, is it going to be applicable for everything we do? Because at some point, companies are going to have to take a step back. Hey, is the ROI there for me to use AI for this? They might want to use a human for that because it's just going to be too expensive. I don't know if you have enough power plants to fuel AI the way we think it's going to go.
Not in California, you won't.
I knew you were going to say that.
Hey, this topic made me think of a question, and I'd like to ask like the group this. It just kind of had my wheels spinning on like the evolution of AI, and I wonder if there's going to be a difference between the evolution of AI for B2C versus B2B, because B2C, like it's a broad messaging just to simplify it, right? Whereas B2B, you have different personas, you have buying groups, there's a lot of different segmentation in there. So I'm kind of curious what you guys think of that.
Should I pick somebody?
I'll go first. I think that, there is definitely a difference. And, but I do absolutely believe we could train models to address those differences in the different markets. I think that,
Sure.
in fact, I could think about, one of the biggest challenges of B2B is finding the right person, and AI could definitely help you with that. And getting, not just finding the right person, but getting the contact information for that VP of something or other at XYZ Corporation. And that's always a challenge. So, you could certainly deploy tools that way to get to get to do a better job of finding and filtering your marketplace. But I don't see any obstacles between developing the B2C model and the B2B model. And yeah, they're going to be different in most ways, but they're definitely both doable.
Yeah, one thing about B2B, something that we do a lot of B2B marketing work, but we don't call Clarity Digital an end-to-end marketing, B2B marketing agency, because like in case of, let's say, e-commerce or lead gen for an attorney or whatever, the consumer, the sales cycle is very short, and you don't really have to target a lot of different buying groups. There's only one or two people that you have to target, whereas B2B is a beast where you have to, depending on the product you sell, like let's say if you do enterprise software, like it's really hard to target a certain person. You have to target a group of people, and some of them don't use search. For example, in case of Meridian Link, Mark, when you and I both work with Meridian Link, I realized that if someone, even though one of the products we sold there was loan origination software, what I noticed is that because I installed call tracking while I was there to listen to some of the calls, and what I noticed is when someone types in the loan origination system or software, they are now looking for a banking LOS or looking for a mortgage broker LOS. In other words, bankers were not going to Google looking for this stuff. You had to find them elsewhere.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I just thought of another thing back to you on this, Delilah, about how, to Al's point, in a B2B model, one of the key in B2B, to Delilah's point and Al's points also, is that you need to demonstrate ROI. Nobody buys anything in a business unless it makes you money or saves you money. So I've been working in the sales business for a long time in software, and a lot of times the ROI, if you're pitching something to a customer, and you can't really nail the answer to that question of how much more money am I going to make or save, and I can definitely see putting my AI onto that to learn, specifically like a division of a multinational company, their earnings, their costs. If we plug this, if we add a 3% variance here, the ROI is going to be so spectacular that they can't ignore us. So I think, it's in that way, it can eliminate a lot of legwork that salespeople used to have to sort of do a lot of guesswork on. So there's definitely ways to train these models to address those markets.
Awesome. Also, I want to push.
That's a great.
Go ahead.
Well, that's a great use case. I've ran B2B marketing for a couple of startups just to try the other side of things because most of my work is B2C. And so, that the game is that prospecting, which you already mentioned. So it'll help you find your prospects. The challenge becomes the prospect, which is most of my career, has a limit of time and money. And so the targeting is getting way better. Like almost every sales email I get to my inbox at work, every place I've worked, is getting better and more accurate. I'm not getting, emails for HR SaaS tools like I used to. I'm getting, email for digital marketing tools.
And that's AI, right? That has to be AI, right?
The targeting is getting much better. The problem is I ignore them all because I have no time. Yeah. So that's your constraint. However, that's up the top of the funnel. Further down the funnel, when you're ready to look and you're down to ROI analysis, now you're really down there in the funnel. I agree. That's a great use case where to modeling the ROI better would be a valuable use case for AI.
So I think you just bring up a great use case for AI, and that's where a lot of, people are. I don't have time. I'm not paying attention to the messaging. And literally, if you just utilize an AI to go through the messaging and pull out the things you should pay attention to, then we can take what would normally take us, an hour every morning could take 10 minutes. And those are the kind of things I think we're missing, where we've been sold on this magic of AI, when in reality, it's really great at helping us do the mundane task. And if we could spend more time on the money-making part of our businesses and less time on the mundane stuff, that's the ROI we're all looking for.
That's a good point too. The emails that Steve mentioned, I don't go through all of them either, and sometimes I wish I could, because I know there's stuff there are opportunity in there that I missed. The other day, an email that I almost deleted was actually a lead. It was like an introduction from somebody to somebody, and I just went to the not important. I went to in my Google, and I was about to delete it. I'm like, let me look at it. So if you have a good AI tool that actually tell you, hey, you should actually read this, or that would be great. I want to, another thing that I think in the B2B is very important, and I know mkelly does really well because he puts his hands-on face, and it's all over my YouTube feed. Is providing a lot of technical education tip in Google ads and Facebook ads, and then he gets a lot of leads that way. He adds a lot of value. Mark, maybe you can say a little thing about that, because I've seen your videos are very technical. They're not, there's actually someone wants to do things, and I think that seems to be working for you.
Yeah, I release two types of videos typically. Either technical, so I've broken down a lot of Google Ads things into step-by-step type of things, and then case studies, which are really just commercials, case studies on existing clients. And we utilize YouTube. Now, YouTube obviously is driving, the algorithm is driving things, and we're just like you do with SEO and just like we do with Google Ads, we're trying to figure out the best way to quote-unquote trick the system, which is interesting because, we're just competing with everyone else trying to get that video in front of you, Al, and I seem to be winning. So I'm happy about that. But you're not buying from me either. So I guess it's a loss in another way. But
it's because you're in Florida, I'm in California. We can't get along.
What it is? Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm totally kidding. No, yeah. But I mean, it's working for you, right? I mean, you're like, I've actually thought about creating more technical videos because I think that also showcases your expertise. Why do I want to hire him as opposed to the other one, right?
It's all about authority. It's about authority and establishing a relationship. Like if I have someone that called me who's watched my videos, then they're essentially pre-sold.
And I want to give you an example that actually, I don't know if I can say the client name because it was a client of an agency. We were working with a white label, but they are one of the top inner security software companies, and they had a lot of resource technical stuff that used to sit on their website. That their new CMO was like, "Oh, get that shit out of here." We're gonna put it in a subdomain, make it gated. We want to go all marketing on a website. And as I'm a well-rounded digital marketer right now, but SEO is the first thing I ever learned. And I advised them against that. I'm like, you're losing a lot of content. Don't do that. And they didn't listen to me, right? And then they did that. They moved forward with it, and they did lose a lot of traffic. And not only traffic, they lost a lot of leads because that it was that technical content that was driving them a lot of a lot of leads. Like other practitioners would see their website, they're like, okay, these guys know what they're talking about. We should get the other like internet security consultant. We should subscribe to their software. When they took that out and they just made all the blogs marketing, that was a big mistake for them. And then after like months of going back and forth, they brought it back. But I think there is something to be said about when it comes to B2B marketing as opposed to B2C. The difference is thought leadership, being a little on the technical side, trying to show your clients that, hey, you know what you're talking about, adding value. I think, at least in my case, even when we get clients, they're like, hey, why do we want to work with Al? There's other agencies that are bigger, and I think that's just because they make it sound like they know that we know what we know what we're talking about. So
I will mention that just this morning I got an email from ScreenLeap, which is the tool that I use to record videos, and it just introduced a new AI editor tool. So obviously I got to check that out.
Yeah,
we tried Canva's AI for some thumbnails.
Yeah.
Total trash from our experience, and I didn't use it myself, but actually I did use it, but some of my team did, and they're better at prompting and patience with ChatGPT than I am. But it's like with Canva's tool, we needed 200 by 400 images, and it's like, well, we can't really guarantee they're going to be the right size. Like, well, that's sort of a basic starting point for like a graphic, is like how big it is, because you usually have constraints or you need something of a certain size. So I was unimpressed with that. I'm hoping to be more impressed with ScreenLeap's AI. I'm impressed with things that are practical and can be used now, and can save time and money. Yeah. And that's what I've seen. I don't doubt where AI is going. I laugh at AI agencies because I'm like, I can't say the words that they're full of, but there is no AI agency at this point because there's not enough practical applications. Now, people are using it, for example, in my industry, to answer people's phones. But why are they using AI? Because the customers don't answer the phone, not because AI is better than the customer. Customers don't pick up their phone and answer the leads, and then they get on you because you didn't provide them enough leads, and you're like, oh, you got to answer your phone. So they're using AI agents, which I understand some of them are pretty decent, but they're only necessary because they don't have humans doing the thing they should be doing.
Yeah, one of our clients is in automotive, and the BRD team, they write software for auto dealers, and a lot of the smaller auto dealers, they reduce the size of their the BRD team, is that the abbreviation for it, a lot smaller because of the chat bots and all the AI tools, and it's actually more accurate because in the past, when customer called, hey, do you have this X Honda Accord in stock? The customer service was like, yeah, come on in, and they would go in there, and it wasn't there. AI actually check against the inventory and says if it's available or not. So I think there's definitely more application of AI. But the problem I have with AI is the same problem everybody else said, that there's a bunch of little tools scattered, and I think for video editing I use 2 or 3 different tools, and they're great, they're good, but they're not great. I would love to see some of the leaders like Adobe Premiere come up with AI features, as opposed and I don't know if they would ever do that, but John, what do you think about that? Do you think the bigger tools are gonna catch up with AI, or is it too late for them? Do they fall behind, or any feedback on that?
What we're into right now, I don't know how many of you have played around with ChatGPT 4.0's image generation that just came out this week, or at the end of last week, whenever. It's been out just a few days. But what we have now to an earlier point was we have multimodal AI, whereas before everything was in its own little tower. So it's like, okay, the writing was here, the audio was here, the video was here, and now we're getting with the latest Gemini 2.5 and, like I said, the image generation in 4.0, we're getting multimodal, where it's able to do all parts of the process from end to end in the same thread, having the same knowledge and the same understanding, and then being able to speak in natural language to it. The problem with AI before was, it's good, but we still needed to know how to prompt. The less we need to know how to prompt and more of just being able to speak to it in natural human language will bring the efficiencies that people are looking for. And so I just think a lot of things were very pubescent, and we act as if we were here, and we're not here. We're still in, we are right now today, we're playing Pong, and we're going to be in PlayStation 6, but it's not going to take 40 years to go from Pong to PlayStation 6. It's going to take maybe 4 or 5 years. But right now, what we're playing with today, okay, maybe it's Pac-Man version 1, but it's nowhere near what we're about to get into.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be like a leapfrog with AI, as it's just how it is. When I took my one AI course in my computer science, just introduction to AI, I'm like, this stuff is too theoretical. And then I saw it coming out slowly, Google Ads, some other tools use the Grammarly example that Steve gave. I'm like, okay, that's great, but I didn't know. And then next thing you know, ChatGPT came, and next thing you know, it does everything. And next thing now, Gemini, I've been using Gemini a lot, and it's just amazing. And perplexity for search more than Google, fortunately, actually, because I never liked Google, to be honest with you. I have this love and hate relationship with Google, but yeah, I think we don't know what's coming, but I think I think that we need to be prepared for it, and we need to figure out where we fit. Now, talk about marketing leadership. How do we, lead our team? Our teams are not to use AI or not to overuse AI because of his, how do we get them to use it? And I think Steve gave a good example with Grammarly, but is there any other ways where we can encourage the proper use of current AI? And where should marketers learn? How should I do it? Just spending hours every week prompting ChatGPT and Gemini, or what's the best way to get your staff, because that's one of my challenges right now. Some of my staff overuse it. I'm like, slow down. Some of them underuse it. So where is the happy balance there?
Did you want me to?
Anyone.
Somebody with a big team.
So, I mentioned kind of what I did at the first. So more recently, there's more to the point of, the points being made about the disparate tools and how you kind of got to, sometimes I like paste from Notebook LM into Perplexity, right? So but it's still saving me a lot of time, but there's that one step. But there are platforms and tools coming out that are integrating more, like just, again, my focus being marketing. So I'm an advisor to a SaaS platform called Area, AIREA, that's working on that, and Willie has launched that integration of like the workflow of a marketing campaign. And so it takes more of the flow, not the entire flow yet, but more of the flow of developing from the idea to execution across multiple digital channels. It's got it baked into the same platform.
Very cool.
I think for my part, I try to stay attention to what's going on with other agency owners and how they're implementing and utilizing AI in their agency. And so that I can then make sure that when they've figured out the model a little bit, then I can implement. I'm kind of letting them be first adopters for the most part.
Delilah, what about you? You work with other agencies and companies. Like, do you have any feedback on like how other companies are adopting AI? Are they late adopter? Are they early adopters?
Yeah. I'm not sure that I have any
Sorry to put you on the
specifics.
spot, by the way. Yeah,
I mean, I'm still like the marketer that's still experimental. I mean,
yeah.
I'll use it within my practice to refine some messaging or maybe have like ideas on different types of like engaging like subject titles or because I do a lot of like content and copywriting myself too. Use it for research purposes, but I'm not confident enough to be in a place to technically advise on AI practices. I'm still learning so much. I still feel so early into it.
By the way, my favorite AI tool right now, by far, is Julius. I think Steve and I worked together a couple years ago, and we never had a full time data scientist in house, but the ones we hired were subcontractors, and they're charging me a lot. And for things that Julius can literally do like this, and you just have to like review it. So basically, it's like you have a data scientist. It's like ChatGPT, but focuses more on data. You can do a lot of the stuff that with ChatGPT too, but I feel like ChatGPT is a little too generic, and I've really been using a lot of data and Julius at AI. So if you like me and work with a lot of data, and you want a quick analysis, and give that tool a try. And I was not sponsored by them, by the way, so just I recommend it.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. I hope so. Yeah. Cool. I think we are running out of time. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Well, you kind of had asked a two-part question,
Yeah.
there's like our team, and then there's collaborating and learning from peers, and that is exactly why I've kind of relaunched sort of this client side digital leader 2.0 group, is because there's this opportunity to really learn and share. We're going through so many changes. Anybody that's a digital marketing, either manager, director, VP, CMO, it's this massive change. Like, just go back, starting with whatever, iOS 14.5 that changed email marketing forever. And now, like you said, Al, lack of attribution from social sites. So all your attribution metrics are just disintegrating. And so what do we do? What's the next strategies? Well, let's talk about it together. I think it's super valuable. When I did that networking group 20 years ago, I learned more in a 5-year period by talking to my peers every month than I did, in between. So
Yeah, the attribution is going to be a big key, because it was never like clear to begin with, and now it's going to get even more complicated. And you can't just turn off a campaign because you don't think it's converting. I'm pretty much sure it's working. You got to understand how it's working, and I think now with AI, it's just going to be even more complicated. But maybe we can also use AI to figure that out, because I just continue to struggle with attribution, because different clients tend to have different and understanding or philosophy of it, or maybe they understand it, but the higher ups don't understand it. So cool. All right. Anything else we want to talk about? And
One thing I do want to talk about,
please,
is the human in the loop part. I think with the plethora of content that is being already produced, right, with artificial intelligence, even before we got into ChatGPT, there was already just so much data, right? But one of the things that I'm figuring out and finding is that the resurgence of newsletters and podcasts like this are probably it's in the wake of all of this data, because now we need humans to just tell me what to pay attention to. And that's what the value is of human insight. I don't know if a computer is ever going to be able to do it as well as humans do when it comes to just putting, telling people what button to push and why.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that. It has happened a few times already. Like during the .coms, we were working with another company that they believe that all these new hip, fast and casual restaurants, they were attributing it to the tech companies. And I think John, you and I talked about this, or was it you, somebody else, that this hip restaurants are here because of tech, because people got tired of tech and they wanted to go eat good food, but not sit at a dining, like a traditional restaurant. And then, but at the same time, they didn't want to eat fast food. So like, that's why this like fast and casual places started popping out, because humans want to interact with each other. We have a need, I come to WeWork. I have a really nice home office, but I come here because I want to chit chat with people. Our agency is remote. So I think the human interaction is always going to be there. Cool. Anything else? All right.
Really good. Thank you.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to end the streaming. All right.